All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is Mr. Squirrel. I hope everyone is doing well. I wanted to do a quick update on my build for Yuan. So one of the things I want to kind of highlight is in my last build, I made mistakes in the sense that her crit rate was over 80%. This is a huge problem because essentially I want to show something here. So if you'll notice, you see how it says crit rate increased by 20% right there? We don't see that. So one of the things we see that, hold on, let me go right here. You see our crit rate now is 61%. Okay, now watch. If I remove this and let's just say I replace, okay, great. Now let's go back. Still says 61%. This is because if you're for new players and people that didn't know, I didn't know this. Okay, this number right here, that you're seeing at this point, this 20%, this is actually only applicable in combat. So this cloud flow state only appears in combat. You'll see this 26.4 because it is outside of combat, but this is all in combat. So essentially what's happening is that when we think about this, you really want to be shooting for the perfect crit rate number is about 68%. That way, when she gets max, I'll show you why in a second, it'll max her crit out at 100%. I would say that I'm on the lower end of the crit rate right now. I was thinking I'm probably going to try to shoot for one more piece that boost it up. But right now I'm sitting at 141.2% crit damage, 61% crit rate. We'll go over why that's actually 81%. And then technically that's like 93%. But then HP is 18,706 with sheer force 2,452. So I made a lot of changes in the build from the first time we saw it. The first thing I want to highlight is that this build, this item didn't change. This is still the crit damage, crit rate. This is, I did change this one, however. So before I was using this piece, which was HP, and I might actually go back for the, nope, I don't need to, never mind. HP, it's at 30%, but then I actually switched it to, I have another one that was an ether damage. That's just a flat increase in damage. Now, the thing that was different, I'm going to show you the piece. I originally had crit rated 24% with a crit damage 4.8. I actually moved it and I rolled this, is that I crit damage now of 48% with a crit rate of 4.8 and an HP at 9%. And then these pieces are just, I have a decent roll. I can probably, this piece can get better. Hopefully I'm looking for like a 3-drop crit. That would be great crit rate. Do I have anyone that's even like that right now? I don't think so. I can look for it later. That's more of like nuanced farming. Right now, I think this is fine for what I needed to be doing. Like this one, for instance, I would really like to bump this into like a crit, 2 crit. I have a 2 crit. The only thing with this one though is I got a lot of crit damage on this. And I really want to keep that crit damage up right now because she's getting a lot of crit rate from other sources. You know, would be her M1 would actually solve a lot of problems, but at the same time, I need a save because I am playing on this is very dolphiny. I don't want to push past this. Now, the other thing I want to kind of run through with E1 that I'm a little, it's like a form of power creep that's been a little interesting that I didn't really anticipate. Oh, also for Panda, actually, do I have enough to level him up? I'm trying to get him to 60. So I wanted to highlight something in the skills. Also, I did, luckily, I just did a single one pull and I was able to pull his W engine. The only reason I really wanted this W engine was for the equipper gains 2 energy. So whenever someone heals, so when he triggers his ult, he's going to get faster. When people get hit or they just do anything, he has a lot of energy regen. I really wanted the energy regen because I was also just running this, which is fine. The 22%, you're using that for a stat stick. But he needs energy regen. I'm feeling that more and more. So again, that's why I have this and this piece. So currently he's sitting at like 70. If it 70, he's got 80% energy regen just from these 2 builds alone, with a 20 piece 20. But I need to level this up a little bit more. But it's this isn't super crazy that I need to level up right now. But I want to highlight something that I'm kind of running into an issue with, and it is small, but it is annoying. So if we look at his, it's right here. So this skill, blah, 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 blah. Let me see if I can pull it up. It is this right here. Okay. So you see where it says it triggers a quick assist of the previous character in the squad. Okay. Now I want to highlight something. So you see that previous character? Now, if we go to Polka and might be in her. Where is it? So still on the it's here. I'm trying to find where it is. Using it where it's so one thing with Paul, this her kit I always struggle with a little bit because it's like where is the where is it? Give me a second. I'm gonna find it. Okay, it's right here. So if you look right here, so that she can trigger a quick assist from the previous character in the squad. So what we're seeing here, there was an issue that I didn't, because when I first got Panda, I was like, oh yeah, it's going to be perfect. There's a small issue at hand here. Both of these characters are switching to the previous character, which means that you can't have you can't have Yuan in like some kind of super duper state. Like for instance, if we look at it's actually right here, is that when she, so for instance, let me use her as an example, is that when Lucy here like uses her skill, she will bring the next character in. While meanwhile, Pulchra and Panda will bring in the previous character. This means that they actually overlap in terms of their utility, which is kind of annoying, to be quite frank. So when you have a team, for instance, I'm going to go to my team comp right here. Okay, so let's look at this one, comp 4. So what ends up happening is that I have to switch. And when I switch in, I'm going to go to Pulchra. Then Pulchra's going to actually then switch into Panda. Panda is then going to switch back into Yuan. The problem is that it would be really great if Panda could go into the next character, which would then trigger her, Yuan to come in, and then you could block, and then that would trigger Pulchra, and you kind of come back and forth. So you're doing like this, like boop, boop, doot, to doot, to doot, to doot, to doot, to doot. But in its current form, you're going like this. Doot, doot, doot. Doot, doot, doot. And you're just doing this doot, doot, doot thing. Because the kicker here is you really want Panda to go into Yuan. Because what happens here is that he is giving, for the next character, a sheer buff. That applies to the rupture. You don't want Panda to go into her, because then you lose the buff. And you won't get her. Right? So it creates this unique scenario where these two are actually overlapping in terms of utility. Now, you can kind of remedy this a little bit, but the thing is that also Yuan wants to quick swap a lot, but the problem is Pulchra will keep coming in this form into Panda. So I am actually kind of considering, instead of having Pulchra here, I would actually go with Trigger. And the only problem with Trigger though is that she is now, I think I will actually do that. I do like Pulchra a little bit more. You know what we're going to do? We're going to play around with it in a minute. I need to actually get these two things. But the thing is that this creates an overall overlap, and I mean, it's like artificial power creep to a certain extent, right? Like what it's doing is it's just creating this artificial power creep that's not allowing you to, like these two, if literally they fix that and was like, Panda, you go to the next character, and then Yuan comes in, and then you can trigger Pulchra, this team would, I think, be so much better. It would flow so well. You're just like quick switch, and like you're quick assisting, quick. You're just coming back and forth into her and the way you would trigger this is when her skill is down, or EX skill is down, then you just switch in, and for the defensive measure of keeping these characters constantly in that defensive state. But in its current form, that doesn't actually work, and it's actually just not as friendly to build pathing as I thought it was going to be. And again, I didn't know it was going to be previous, that both are doing that previous. This is the same thing that actually happens why you can't run Pulchra and Trigger together. I mean, you can, but you get the same run of the same issue with Sanby, is that essentially, let's just imagine this is Pulchra, you're going boop, 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 right? Like you're doing this constant like doop, doop, doop. Versus when you really just want to keep coming back to your main attacker, these two previous, because they have in their text previous. So this would then she's triggering him, he's then going to trigger her, right? And then you do it all over again. Doot, doot, doot. When in reality, what you want is you want someone here that can go, that you want to put essentially. So if I go to like this squad, let's just do this for instance. Like this is a good one. I'm going to do Lucy as an example. To show this, to highlight my what I'm trying to tell you guys. I'm a very visual learner pre-scene, so I need to show it. Is that like, so for instance, this would be the team I'm thinking of, and then we'll do Panda. So what happens here is then you go, oh, swap into her, and then you gotta, your block comes up, you go Panda, and then you EX skill, go back in, then you block again, go back in. So you see what you're doing, you're constantly piggybacking back and forth, and you're just doing this thing, and she wants to be quick assist into, so that is even better. Now, the one thing I'm thinking about running, I'm going to try this in a minute, and I'm going to do this for squad 5, so I'm going to show you guys. And this one is going to be this right here, and we're going to try this out, and I don't know how it's going to operate. I haven't played it yet, so we'll see. It's going to be Astra. It's actually this comp right here. And then we go here, and like this. We're going to try this actually in the next, we'll see how it works. I don't know. I'm kind of curious to see what it does. Okay, but that's it. That's pretty much what I'm thinking, because now what ends up, the only thing, sorry, I exited out of that way too fast, is so she's going to then quick switch into her, and then it's going to keep this bouncing between these two, because remember, again, she wants to be quick assisted into, and, Astra is perfect for that. So I think we'll see what happens. I'm kind of curious. We're going to try this out in the next Hollow Zero quite shortly, and I'm going to try this out in a couple other areas. We're just going to see generally and first impressions how it feels. I think that there's a lot of different ways you can operate with this, but I'm going to try this out in the Hollow Zero, kind of a low stakes area to try it, and then we can kind of see how it does in comparison to everything else. All right, folks. Well, again, that's just my quick update on the build. The other thing I wanted to highlight before, I'm such a Goomba, is I forgot to highlight why she also, so the why you want 61% is because, again, she's getting 20%. I think this is giving her, I mean, if you don't have her W engine, then you do have to find that, then you want to put this as a crit rate. If you do have the W engine, you don't need to make that crit damage. But the other thing is, if we look at these equipment, 4-piece, if you look right here, she's getting 4% crit rate every time she uses an EX skill, chain attack, or an ultimate, meaning that she's usually going to be sitting around 8 to 12% of this. So if we look at her crit rate, she is honestly getting about 32% extra crit rate, which puts her at around 93% on this build, which is pretty good. All right, folks. Well, that's it for this video. I wish everyone the best of luck. And again, remember, failing is just your first attempt at learning.